is an introduction to pivot tables along with pivot charts. This is a great feature in Excel which lets you take a bunch of data as far as transactions and summarize it very quickly. You can see in this case I'm going over to column A, but if I come on over here and do the end key and then the down arrow, I'm holding down the shift key right now, it's going to highlight all my data. You can see I go all the way down to row 685. So this is a bunch of transactions which I would like to summarize very concisely. So for example, I would like to be able to figure out the total sales by customer out of these transactions. So what it will do, it'll take every customer, for example Bellino, every time there's a sale for Bellino, it will take it and sum it up. So I will end up, in this case, I believe I have 10 different customers. So for Bellino, I have 15 transactions throughout my data, and it will take each of those transactions, total them up, and generate a report for me in a very nice manner. So I'm going to come through and highlight my data initially. And to get to pivot tables, you do Insert Pivot Table. I've got my table range selected. Notice I can also use an external data source. So if I was working in a corporate environment and was able to connect into the ERP system, PeopleSoft, SAP, any of the databases that you might have available that Excel can tie into, you can easily extract out data and then do pivot tables off of that. In this case, we're using data that we've input into this sheet called Start. I'll do OK. And we want to do Customer. So this is a drag and drop feature. I'm going to drop Customer down to row labels. Notice I've got row labels over here in column A. And here's the sales. I'm going to put that in the values. By default, it's going to give me sum of total. And notice I do have sum of totals. So Bellino, for example, I'm going to go in and format this appropriately. So what I'm doing is for Bellino, I don't know how many sales there are, but in this case, Bellino total sales for all these transactions was $18,242. So this enabled me to get a quick summary. All 634 transactions ends up with a grand total sales of $130,753.62. So I'm going to label this sheet Customer Sales PT and go back to my raw data. And the next one I'm going to do is total sales by customer by day of week. I'm going to come back to average in a second, but total sales by customer by day of week. The same thing. Pivot table. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. Customer name. Day of week I'm going to use. Notice how everything's being thrown out there very appropriately. Total. And again, I have this data put out there very quickly for me in a pivot table approach. And go in and do the commas in between. And again, this data doesn't fit. That's what the pound signs represent. So I'm going to auto fit. So I have very quickly, again, this information. Notice Bellino, we had already seen Bellino had total sales of 18,243. And this shows you how the data has been distributed by the day of the week. So you could easily see maybe who is having the best luck on a given day of the week. You can see that Graham doesn't do too good on Sundays, but Saturdays he or she, whoever Graham is doing quite well. So you can see information like that as we go through this process. If we don't like this information, we can change this very, very easily. We had seen earlier we were going to switch on over to average. So I can come back over here. Let me go ahead and do this. First off, this is customer sales by day of week, PT. Too long of a sheet name, but anyway. I can go in, if I click anywhere in this, these options come back up. If I want to change this from sum of total, I can easily do this by changing the value field settings, and I'll change it to average. So now we can see the average sales by customer. Again, this would be the grand total, in this case the grand average by customer. And you can again see here's Qualls, average sales on Saturday, not too good, whereas he or she does a lot better on Mondays. And if we want to know how many sales they're doing, I can again just go over here, change this. Instead of average, I can change that to count. So this shows us, again, I would change this from dollar signs to just an integer format. You can see how the frequency of sales, who's the best salesperson in terms of number of sales. That would be Bellino. But this gives you a very, very quick summary of what we're looking at. Let me go back and change this, and I can do Control Z, take us back to the initial sum of total by day of the week. Let me go back and see what we're doing. We've already done kind of sales by customer by item. I can do that very easily. Again, we'll do Insert, Pivot Table. In this case, I believe it was customer, item, and we're going to do total. And again, if I change this, I can change this to the counts. And this shows, again, we haven't done any formatting, so this comes out real nice and clean. You can see again, there's our 87 sales, and it shows by item which one's being sold the most frequently. In this case, the Gibro 4LS has for 19. What's the least frequent? That would be the CFO at 86. But it gives management, financial analysts, whoever is looking at this data, a very quick snapshot of the data set that you're working with. I'm going to go and highlight this. This is customer sales by item count. Go back, and what we're going to do, one last thing, is total sales by customer with option to switch between years. So I'm going to go back to, let's see, I believe it was way on over here, customer sales. There we go. So I want to change this now where we want to be able to do it by year. So the year is right here. I'm going to do this with a report filter. So the report filter, it's a real nice feature. It gives you an overall filter. So in this case, I can go in and look at what my 2009 sales were like by just clicking on a button. It shows me that in 2009 we had $45,000 worth of sales. It shows the sales by customer. Again, it's a real nice feature. If I want all of them, I can do all of them, do OK. And again, this saves us having years as a column heading. If we don't want to have that, we can have that as a report filter. It's a real nice situation. I'm going to go back on over here, customer sales by day of week. What we might want to do also, just changing up the scenario. Let me see if I had this as one of my options. Yes, number 3, maximum sales by customer. I'm going to come back on over here. And in this case, what I want to do is, say for 2008, I want to know what the largest individual sale is for Bellino, Graham, Manus, Martinson, etc. So I'm going to come back over to values, value field setting, and there's the max. Do OK. So we can see that Bellino in 2008 had one sale of $737.12. That was the best that Bellino had for 2008. What was it for 2009? Okay, $737.12 for Bellino in 2009. If I want to do it for the entire 3-year period, again, Bellino, that was the best the sales were. Ratherton, for whatever reason, wasn't that great. The best he or she did was 552 for the top sales in any of the 3 periods. So this is what we're doing in terms of pivot tables. If we go on over, we can do also a pivot chart for customer sales. Let me go on over and we will do that very easily, or else we can do it from the start button and just create our own pivot chart. I'm going to go and drag on down rather than do the shortcut and come back over to insert. And instead of clicking on the pivot table, I'm going to do the drop down. There's a pivot chart. And I'm going to do it on a new worksheet. Do OK. In this case, what we're going to do is customer name. And this will be the axis fields. And the values will be total. So this will show us very quickly the sales by customer in a chart scenario. I haven't shown this to you previously, but I can also go up to row labels. Instead of doing select all, maybe I just want Manis and Graham highlighted. Do OK. And that way I can highlight very quickly just those 2 salespeople. This makes it real easy, real flexible. As long as you have a lot of data, you can do quick analyses, do charts of it. It's one of the best tools that I've found when you're doing data analysis. Management can get a quick snapshot of how things are going as far as day of the week, by item number, by year, just all sorts of variations. Whatever the mind can imagine, you can do that with a pivot table. Hope this helps. Have a good day.